Hey everyone, I was having a problem with my spa here with heating the water, and I found what I think was a pretty simple fix, and I just wanted to share it with people. I didn't find a lot of YouTube videos on this specifically, so I'm going to first describe the problem and some of the symptoms and see if it matches with what you're experiencing, and then I'll show you what the fix was and talk about some of the cost. So this is just a built-in spa. It has some jets for water returns and drains on the bottom, and the water was taking a pretty long time to heat. So for example, it was taking probably, I want to say, more than an hour maybe to move the water 30 or 40 degrees, and that I think is just too long. But what also was part of the problem was this. So I have this Purex Triton MinMax Plus 400. That's 400,000 BTUs. This is happens to be a natural gas unit, and it's pretty old. I believe this was built right around the year 2000 or so. So it's pretty old, but still working okay. You have a couple of different access panels on this unit. These just turn 90 degrees. There's a catch under here. So just turn these 90 degrees and this panel will pop right out, and all your burners are under here. So I checked that, made sure those were clean. I came in here, I made sure there was not a bunch of debris inside the top panel. This comes off, it's not easy. There's a bunch of these all the way around. If you take all of those off, you can eventually pull this whole top piece off and clean this. But so the giveaway for me that there was a real problem here were these lights. So turning this on, all of these should be green, and there's a nice service manual online that'll tell you what all these lights are supposed to do. Now, initially when you turn this on, this service light will be red. That's just to tell you that it's doing some, startup procedures, and then it should go off, and you should get some spark under here, light the burners, and, providing you have everything turned on, this should be pushing hot water, depending on what your temperature settings are. What was happening for me was a cycling process. So it would turn on, it would start pushing hot water, and then after, 5 or 10 minutes, this service light would come back on. The system would trip and stop pushing hot water. Then it would restart. I could hear the burners coming back on. This service light would go off. It would push hot water again, run for a little bit. Then the system would trip. Burners would go off. Light would come on, red, and over again. Every, I want to say 5 minutes maybe. So it was heating the water, but it was just taking quite a long time because it was doing this cycling of on, off. So I had someone come look at this, and they said, your system is very old and probably not worth repairing. And they quoted me over $5,000 to replace the unit. So I was looking for an alternative that was a little less than that. Did some research, found a part. And I got this right from Amazon, but there's tons of pool parts. Let's talk about the fix. So what you'll need for this fix, and this part was about $130 on Amazon. And that's right around the going rate for most pool providers. But you'll need a 1/2 inch socket and about 10 minutes. You'll probably need a screwdriver, maybe a mallet. And here's what I did. And let me show you. I got this part. Here's the part number right here. Now, of course, mileage may vary. You'll have to see if this fits your system. That's the Pentair part number. And I removed this valve, and take a look at this thing. So this is a temperature sensitive sort of mechanical valve. And what happens is this probe is supposed to sense the temperature, and it will move this valve. As you can see, this one is so corroded, it's like stuck, and this piece is actually not supposed to be disconnected like this. This thing is tremendously corroded, not functioning. It's supposed to move in a more fluid way. So I bought this piece, 1/2 wrench screwdriver, and it's right here. Come in here, undo these bolts. It's 2 bolts here. Mine was, just because it was the original 20-year-old valve, you can see, this pulls out of this unit. It needed a little encouragement with a screwdriver. What I did was I just got a screwdriver and tried to wedge it in where this gasket is, and just kind of pry it at the top here. You don't want to damage this, of course. Be careful. There is a little bit of suction here, and of course just age is going to be holding this in. So yeah, a couple of bolts. This sits in here like this. Pulled it out, just cleaned it up a little bit, and then I didn't put anything here. My this part comes with the gasket, this rubber gasket. Pop the bolts out, pull the old unit out, just make sure there's not a lot of debris and things. You'll want to double check for debris, because if yours is old and corroded like this, be gentle with it. You don't want to, like, for example, I could have left this part in here, and you don't want that. So just make sure you're not too rough handling with this, so that you're not leaving chunks, debris, and things. But just make sure this is relatively clean in here. Pull this out, pop this in. I probably could have put a little O-ring sealant or O-ring lube on here, but it ends up it didn't need it because it's dry. But tighten these down, fire it up, problem solved. So I hope the same fixes your issue, because now my heater works the way it should. No more service light cycling. It changes water temperature much more quickly, and solve my problem. So get a little more life out of this. I realize it's old, but for thousands of dollars in replacement cost, I didn't want to do that if I could extend the life of this unit. So I hope that helps someone. I guess you can just dispose of this, or I was hanging on to it because it kind of looked cool, but and I wanted to make this video, but the part is definitely not working. So I hope that helps someone. It's a pretty easy fix. Like I said, just go take your time, make sure things are clean, make sure things aren't leaking, obviously, and fire it back up, and you'll be good to go. Thanks, everybody.